Good morning from Seattle, Washington. I'm Danny Mangold, and I'm proud to be included in the new issue of Vintage Guitar Magazine, where they've been so kind as to feature a review on my new solo CD, which is called Lucky Me. All the guitars, I think, came out really good, and I'm not being too biased, but I'm going to start with this. This is one I found in Tupelo, Mississippi, only about 4 or 5 blocks from Elvis's birthplace. It was in a little music store. It's an early 70s Fender Stratocaster that had been refinished in a kind of a cool seafoam surf green something way back then. I didn't want to monkey with it. It sounds great. It has a huge neck on it and stays perfectly in tune. Figure that. Next, for all the acoustic tracks, this is about a 30-year-old Martin D41 that, not quite their top of the line, but pretty close. Pearl inlay on the top and abalone on the rosette. I found that in Baltimore, Maryland. It has a big, huge, like a Steinway-like sound, really even. All the high end is nice and transient, which I like. Now, around the room, we're just going to kind of feature a little bit of all of these. This is the most unusual. We always talk about rescue, pound puppy kind of instruments. This one was originally started out as a 1966 Gibson Trini Lopez. The original owner bought it for his daughter, who was 9. He wanted to do this Partridge Family kind of band, and she had tiny little hands, and he decided to cut the neck down and make it tiny. Well, he didn't quite know the physics of a guitar, meaning there's a truss rod inside it. So when he saw it hit the truss rod, it exploded the neck of the guitar. So rather than discard it completely, I found it, and I took it to a luthier who absolutely did a fantastic job here in town of reviving it with a mid-60s Gibson 335 neck. And it fits perfect. He did the coloration perfect. I absolutely love this guitar. Next to that, for the other Gibson parts, I used my 1971 Gibson Les Paul Custom. That one came from Prescott, Arizona, of all places. I have all the original black plastic and hardware, but I like the cream look, kind of a Jeff Beck look. I, for some reason, really like that. Absolutely a perfect guitar, and man, it weighs a ton. I can't brag about how light it is, because it ain't light at all. Next to it is probably the oldest guitar in the collection. That one is a 1932 National Duolian that didn't come from a music store. It came from an antique shop in the Georgetown area of Seattle. I would love to know the history of this, because whoever had it, he wore the frets down to nothing. And I have hesitated. I haven't done anything to it. So I changed strings, changed the nut. I didn't want anything changed to it because it sounds so good. I left it alone. Right next to that, on a couple tracks on the record, I used this, and that is a 1964 Gibson L5C, which at that time was the second most expensive guitar that Gibson made. I think they made less than 40 that year. I have 2 pick guards with it, one without the pickup and the other one which is a custom that comes with a small mini humbucker for if you want to use an electric. I like an acoustic better. Right next to that, interesting story, that was my guitar about 25 or 30 years ago, and I just bought back. It is a 1960 Fender Jazzmaster that doesn't think it's a Jazzmaster. It doesn't do surf all that well, but it has a big Les Paul special kind of warm sound to it. And I absolutely love it. Now, for other parts, these aren't really vintage, but I needed them on the slide parts. This is one I made a long time ago out of just found objects and crap laying around on the street, and raised the action up and tuned to an open G. And it's definitely an art piece. For the bass parts, I had to use its brother, because I'm not that good a bass player, but I played all the bass parts on it. I like to keep things very simple to keep the groove. And this one's kind of neat because we found a bunch of letters that had come off an old sign around the turn of the century in Seattle from a church or a park. And I found enough letters to write Elvis Presley, Graceland. And it probably was a Fender at one time. Who knows when I found it stripped. That's about it. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed the record because I really enjoyed making it. So have a great day and keep it rocking. Bye-bye.